Hey y'all, welcome back. Bienvenidos a Dos Guiris Sin Guia. We got Miguel over in Nashville, and we got...
Yes, this is Andres living in Salamanca.
So I'm talking about Andres. So back at it again, the boys are back with episode numero tres. That's number 3 for all of you for all you who are still learning. It's okay, that's why we're here.
In this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about pronunciation, some suggestions regarding pronunciation in general, as well as walking that kind of indiscriminate line of whether or not you want to speak quicker to get your point across, or on the other hand, dial it back a notch and talk slower because your pronunciation is going to help the person to understand what it is you want to say. And it's not so cut and dry.
We're going to probably segue a little bit from our previous topic. We were talking about how important it is to have confidence.
We could even talk about this, like being lazy, because I get stuck in that where I say everything like my diphthongs are not that well created. I'll just go Euro.
Yeah,
you know, like
I used to for a long time.
Like we're going to a pueblo, and it's like you're really supposed to say
Pueblo. Pueblo. Like you were saying, getting a little bit lazy in the diphthongs. I think Spanish people do sometimes too. I mean, when you speak very, very quickly, a little bit of the super intricate and the super intelligible pronunciation is going to get lost.
The linguistics class that I took was rather basic. And so we never focused on what in French is called the liaison, and the combination of sounds from the end of a word joining with the beginning of a word that apparently happens when there's 2 vowels. I never paid attention to that. And now that I do, I think my Spanish has become much more intelligible for them. And like now I understand why the language to me sounds so like flowy and fluid, you know, because they really are uniting the words.
I think we do that in English to a certain extent too, but we just don't think we do. I don't think we don't think about it because we don't have to think about the words we say because it's so natural. But that's the great thing about learning a language, a foreign language, is it makes you consider all of these things. When you do it in a foreign language, you're like, that's really weird. You're like, wait, I probably do a bunch of weird things in my own language. You just don't think about it that much because it comes so naturally.
I don't want to send mixed signals to listeners about, you know, be relaxed, don't worry, you can make mistakes, just
for
talk.
Sure.
The primary focus is for you to just get after it and then don't worry. On the other hand, you want to really make sure you nail those diphthongs down. Like, that's kind of a backwards idea. But at the same time, if you can just be cognizant of the fact that, like, these diphthongs, they help them understand us. Because we can get real lazy. If you say Euros, they're not going to get you, dude.
No, we're actually kind of branching out away from the one I was originally thinking we were going to talk about, but that's, you know, we just kind of go on a thread and just kind of continue. But I want to ask you...
characteristic.
Yeah, that suele pasar. It tends to happen. But I wanted to ask you a question. When I feel like I reached my first hurdle and really started being able to, like, kind of get rolling in sentences... I think I got, like Andres was saying, a little bit lazy on pronunciation, but there will be actual big problems with people understanding you if you sacrifice pronunciation for speed. And I guess let me hear your opinion on that.
Well, I would not hand over pronunciation for speed. The temptation there is because we often feel like as non-native speakers that it's harder to keep their attention. But like, I would rather do it smooth and calm than try to go really fast. Think about what you do when you speak your native language and how you are there, and that's probably going to be what is your most natural, like the answer to how you ought to talk in the other language too.
I'm not going to disagree with you because absolutely you can't sacrifice pronunciation for speed, because if you do that too much, they're honestly not going to understand what you're saying. But I feel like there is a line to be walked there. Like you were saying, if you are taking 5 seconds before you say every word, you're like, gato, estaba, like, you're just, no one's gonna be able to talk to you. So I feel like maybe there's like a medium line to be walked with, yes, I'm going to pronounce this as well as I can, but also I'm going to push my fluency level just a littlest bit and still be thinking about trying to pronounce things as well as I can while I'm going quickly. So definitely, I would say at least certain times you do have to practice that. And it depends on the context. If I'm doing something very official that I really need to understand fully and be understood fully, it's very, very important that I speak a little bit more slowly and more, just a little bit more consciously. Versus if you're having a conversation with your friend, that is a good way to get better at speaking quickly. And then, you know, if they interrupt you and you're like, oh, I didn't understand what that word you said, then you can be like, oh, I've got to pay a little bit more attention to my diphthongs. I've got to pay a little bit more attention to this kind of pronunciation. So there's a line to be walked there. Absolutely.
There certainly is.
Yeah.
So you have something I've worked on for the last year now. I had an intercambio with a pal, and he told me that, you know, your Spanish is great. The thing that you ought to work on is saying with a little more force and a little more clearly the vowels, because vowels are excessively important in Spanish. They only have 5. Right? We have ways to distinguish all of our I's, E's, A's, O's, you know, so, and they can't.
I think we have something around 16 different vowel sounds, and in Spanish, not only are there only 5 vowels, there's only 5 sounds a vowel can ever make, any vowel. There's only 5. So an A always sounds like an A, an O always sounds like an O.
You don't need to focus on pronunciation as a whole. I think that could be a little overbearing. Focus on those vowels. I used to say things like "tio," and it sounds really lazy. You have to pronounce a lot more sharply in Spanish, because just in English we really tend to play relaxed. We have almost like an anesthetized tongue. I know that my Spanish friends, it's one of their favorite things to make fun of me for, is just having this as if I just swallowed a soma or some painkiller and then decided to try to give a discourse and but they really think that that's what we sound like. So if you're aiming for improved pronunciation, keep in mind the sharper and the clearer you can make these consonants and vowels, the better off it's going to sound. Another nice thing to keep in mind is that you actually probably piss the bed a lot more than you know in English.
Yeah.
So in Spanish, it's not the end of the world. It's not such a big deal. It's a daily occurrence.
I like the way you frame that. I like the way you frame it. It's not that you mess up more than you think in Spanish. It's that you also mess up in English, and no one bats a fucking eye, dude.
All in all, just when you say something wrong, go with it. Keep on chugging along.
Dude, I'm gonna go slightly off of that thread. Something that would a little bit annoy me way more in Madrid than it ever did in Segovia. But in Madrid, so many people speak English that a lot of times if you start a conversation, you're in a restaurant, you're at the metro, you're talking to someone, and you start making a few mistakes, or that you have a bad pronunciation and they know that you're clearly not 100% fluent. A lot of times they'll jump right to English and be like, oh, it's fine. Even if you really want to practice Spanish. I used to get really frustrated at that, and then I got to the point where I was like, well, I can't control what language they speak to me in, but I can control what language I speak. If you start speaking Spanish with somebody and they change to English, fine, that's cool. Speak English to me. I understand it. I'm going to continue in Spanish because that's what I want to do and that's what I prefer. I've had decently long conversations where the whole time I was speaking Spanish and the other person was speaking English. Just because they're like, I want to speak English, and I'm like, I want to speak Spanish. That's cool. We understood each other, and it probably sounds fucking hilarious to anyone walking by hearing half the conversation in one language and half in the other. But whatever, dude. Listen, if I want to practice and you want to practice, but that's fine.
In my own humble opinion, I would recommend saying that just as a point of fact, I'm going to keep speaking in Spanish because I want to get better. Just like that. And what I would not do is ask them to talk in Spanish or give them any indication how they need to talk.
Yeah.
Or just lay it all out there like, yo, this is what I'm doing and here's my intention. And I think they'll be 100% receptive.
Hey y'all, so those 12 minutes sure did pass by pretty quickly. That was a pretty interesting, very interesting stuff going on in that Dos Guiris and Gia podcast. Anyway, from Andres.
What I like about what you're doing right now is you are having exemplary pronunciation while speaking mega fast, Mike. You're a fucking man.
Yeah, fluency. It's not one or the other, it's both. Obviously, just speak quickly with perfect pronunciation. And while you're at it, don't repeat yourself and use perfect words to convey your point, and don't ever make mistakes.
Don't forget to wink and gesticulate. You gotta sell every last sentence.
Listen, let me say that's another thing is I'm telling you, facial expression, being an animated person, it really does help get your point across, because when you're using that's next. Oh my God, we have no shortage of material to talk about. Anyway, from both of us here at Dos Guiris and Gia, pasta y huevos, and you got an outro, Andres?
And as us cool cats at night like to say, me pido, vampiro.
You heard it here first. Anyway, we out.
Adios.
Adios.